You are standing in your bathroom right now, and somewhere behind that porcelain tank lid is a problem that has been costing you money every single month since you moved in. Scale buildup coating the fill valve, bacteria growing in the water that sits stagnant between flushes, mineral deposits slowly choking the flush holes under the rim until your toilet barely clears the bowl. You have bought those blue drop-in tablets. You have tried the clip-on rim cages. You have called a plumber who charged you $180 to tell you the fill valve needed replacing. 2 years later, the same symptoms came back. There is a $1 bottle of hydrogen peroxide sitting in your medicine cabinet right now, and 1 cup poured into that tank will do something no blue tablet has ever done in residential plumbing. It will not mask the problem. It will not perfume it. It will chemically dissolve the bacterial biofilm, the mineral scale, and the iron staining that accumulate inside that tank. And it will do it without corroding the rubber flapper, the fill valve seat, or the plastic float assembly the way chlorine bleach steadily destroys them. Plumbers have known about this for decades. The supply houses that sell replacement flappers, fill valves, and ballcock assemblies have a financial reason to stay quiet about it. By the end of this, you will understand exactly why a technique this simple never made it onto a single maintenance checklist your plumber has ever handed you. Let me tell you what is living in your toilet tank. A study published in the journal Applied and Environmental Microbiology documented that the interior surfaces of residential toilet tanks harbor biofilm colonies dominated by coliform-adjacent bacteria, including strains of Pseudomonas and Serratia marcescens. That last one is the organism responsible for the pink-orange staining you sometimes see at the waterline inside the tank. These bacteria do not stay in the tank. Every flush aerosolizes fine water droplets, and researchers at the University of Arizona, in work led by microbiologist Dr. Charles Gerba and cited widely in consumer health literature, found that flush aerosols travel up to 6 feet. The tank is the reservoir. Clean the tank, and you cut off the source. Here's the part the plumbing supply industry does not want you sitting with too long. The standard blue drop-in toilet tablet, the kind sold at every grocery store for $3 to $5, contains either chlorine or a quaternary ammonium compound as its active ingredient. Chlorine-based tablets kill bacteria. That part works. But chlorine is also an oxidizing agent that accelerates rubber degradation. The Fluidmaster Corporation, one of the largest fill valve and flapper manufacturers in the United States, stated publicly on their own website that chlorine tablet use voids the warranty on their flappers and fill valves because accelerated rubber deterioration from continuous chlorine exposure is a documented failure mechanism. A standard toilet flapper costs $5 to $15 to replace. A fill valve replacement runs $12 to $25 for the part alone, before labor. Plumbers posting in owner communities on the Terry Love Plumbing forums report that continuous blue tablet use is one of the most frequent upstream causes of premature fill valve failure they encounter in residential service calls. So you have been buying a product that treats one symptom while quietly destroying the components it sits against. Components then require a service call to replace. That is not an accident. And if you are already wondering whether this changes, what you do after this video, stay with me, because the method itself takes about 45 seconds and costs roughly 25 cents per month. Hydrogen peroxide works differently at a chemistry level, and this is the piece that makes the whole thing click. A standard 3% hydrogen peroxide solution, the brown bottle, the $1 bottle, the one designed for wound care, breaks down in water into oxygen and water. That is the entire byproduct. No chlorine residue, no chemical film left on rubber seals, no corrosive ions accumulating on the brass or plastic of the fill valve assembly. What the oxygen release does, in the minutes before it dissipates, is attack the cell walls of anaerobic bacteria, organisms that thrive in the low oxygen environment of a sealed tank, and oxidize the organic compounds in biofilm at the surface level. Research published in the Journal of Hospital Infection confirmed hydrogen peroxide at concentrations as low as 3% achieves greater than 99.9% reduction in common surface bacteria within 10 minutes of contact time. The concentration entering a full tank of water is below 3%, but the contact time across the tank walls, the fill valve housing, and the flapper seat runs the full interval between flushes, anywhere from 15 minutes to several hours depending on household use. That extended dwell time compensates for the dilution. For iron staining and mineral scale, the rust orange rings and the calcium crust around the fill valve base. Hydrogen peroxide does something chlorine cannot. Chlorine bleach can lighten iron staining cosmetically, but it does not break the mineral bond. Hydrogen peroxide, particularly when combined with the mild acidity of dissolved minerals already present in hard water, initiates an oxidation reaction that loosens the iron oxide compound from the porcelain surface. Owners in hard water regions posting in plumbing communities on Reddit and the Terry Love plumbing forums describe staining inside their tanks dissolving within 1 to 2 treatment cycles when using hydrogen peroxide, where years of blue tablets had only partially masked the discoloration. Several of those same threads note that the orange iron staining at the fill valve base, the stain most commonly misdiagnosed as rust from the valve itself, cleared after 3 monthly hydrogen peroxide treatments without any disassembly of the valve housing. Here is the method exactly as it has been documented and shared in those communities. You do not need to shut off the water supply, though you can. You lift the tank lid. You pour 1 cup, 8 fluid ounces, of standard 3% hydrogen peroxide directly into the tank water. You replace the lid. You wait at least 30 minutes before the next flush to give the solution adequate contact time against the tank walls and internal components. You do this once per month. At roughly $1 per bottle containing 32 fluid ounces, you are looking at 4 treatments per bottle, about 25 cents per monthly treatment. Annual cost approximately $3. Compare that to what the plumbing supply chain earns from the alternative. The global toilet care market, meaning drop-in tablets, rim blocks, and in-tank cleaners, was valued at over $2 billion annually, according to market research published by Grandview Research in 2022. The domestic residential plumbing repair segment, which includes the fill valve and flapper replacements accelerated by chlorine tablet use, adds hundreds of millions more in annual service revenue. A 25-cent monthly treatment that requires no service call, no parts, and no plumber does not fit inside that revenue structure. That is why it does not appear on the maintenance card. There is a longer history here that most people have never been told. Hydrogen peroxide was used as a sanitation agent in municipal water treatment in Europe as early as the 1920s. A technical report from the German engineering firm Siemens, cited in the Water Research Journal's Historical Review of Oxidation Treatment Methods, documented hydrogen peroxide's use in Berlin's water treatment infrastructure before chlorination became the dominant method in the mid-20th century. Chlorination won not purely on efficacy grounds, because hydrogen peroxide's pathogen reduction was comparable in many applications, but on cost and infrastructure grounds at municipal scale. At residential scale, where you are treating a 12 to 16-gallon tank rather than a water tower, those infrastructure arguments evaporate. What you are left with is a compound that is effective against tank bacteria, non-corrosive to rubber and plastic, leaves no chemical residue, and costs a fraction of a cent per use. The rubber corrosion argument is the one that should have ended the blue tablet market decades ago and did not. Fluidmaster's public warranty statement about chlorine tablets is not the only documentation. Corky, another major flapper manufacturer, includes similar language in their product installation guides, warning against the use of continuous release chlorine products in the tank. Corky's standard flapper carries a 5-year warranty under normal use conditions, and that warranty is explicitly voided by chlorine tablet exposure. These are the manufacturers of the parts that fail. They are telling you in writing that the popular tank cleaning method degrades their components. Plumbing trade publications have noted this conflict for years without it becoming common consumer knowledge, because the retail channel that sells the tablets also sells the replacement parts, and both transactions are profitable. One more dimension that does not get enough attention: the flush rim jets. Around the underside of your toilet bowl rim, there are small angled holes, typically 8 to 12 of them depending on the manufacturer, through which tank water enters the bowl during a flush. In homes with hard water, calcium carbonate deposits accumulate inside these jets over months and years, partially or fully blocking them. When rim jets are partially blocked, the swirling action that clears the bowl is reduced, requiring second flushes, and second flushes mean higher water bills. The EPA WaterSense program estimates that a properly functioning toilet uses 1.28 gallons per flush for a high-efficiency model, or 1.6 gallons for a standard model. A toilet requiring a second flush doubles that figure per use. In a household flushing 8 to 10 times per day, the cumulative water waste from reduced rim jet performance compounds across months and years. Hydrogen peroxide in the tank reaches those rim jet channels as the tank drains on each flush, and the oxygen-releasing oxidation works on the calcium deposits lining those narrow passages in a way that blue tablets, which sit inert in the tank between flushes, never do. Here is what this adds up to emis. 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide once per month, introduced directly into the toilet tank, eliminates anaerobic bacterial biofilm without corroding rubber components, addresses iron and mineral staining at the bond level, rather than masking it, costs roughly $3 per year, compared to $36 to $60 per year for standard drop-in tablet programs, and does not contribute to the fill valve and flapper degradation that generates the plumbing service calls you have been paying for. The $2 billion toilet care industry and the plumbing repair trade that benefits from chlorine-accelerated part failure have had every incentive to keep this in the category of folk remedy rather than standard practice. The chemistry is not folk remedy, it is documented. The corrosion risk of chlorine tablets is not disputed. The manufacturers of the parts most affected put it in their own warranty language. The rubber corrodes, the valve fails, the plumber comes, and the cycle repeats, because it is supposed to.